Hi, I'm Bob Buckhorn, and welcome back for one more edition of the Mayor's Hour. It's great to see you, and always good to see my friend Jack Harris. I just got back from vacation, and this is the first time I've had real shoes on in about the last 12 days.
What have you been? Well, you've been up in the mountains, running around barefooted
I've been
or
running
something?
around barefoot with a cigar in one hand and a glass of wine in the other, Jack. So it's.
I like it.
I thought
like
you
it.
might.
The good life.
Ah, the good life. But it's good to be back. We just drove 9 hours last night, and so Kathy and the kids are exhausted, but I'm back at it and have my shoes on, and so it's good to be here for another Mayor's Hour. How have you been doing?
Oh, been fantastic. And plus, we're doing the Mayor's Hour in one of my favorite places on the planet, in Ybor City. This is great.
Yeah, it is. And I think what we're going to talk about today and what you're going to hear is how Ybor is transitioning from not only an old economy to a new economy, but Ybor City has had so many lives, Jack, over the years and different iterations, going back to the days of the cigar workers to now what we're going to showcase today. And an emerging technology company that has planted its roots in Ybor City and is growing by leaps and bounds, and it's one of Tampa's success stories.
That is, success story it is. It's a huge success story, and it's so great that it's here in Ybor City and expanding even beyond Ybor City, but in Tampa. As you say, it's moving into the new technology, but it continues to celebrate the culture and history of the past, and that's what's so great about Ybor City, that these two blend down here. I love it.
It does, and that's what makes Ybor City unique is how it blends and how it's metamorphosized into whatever it took to survive.
Yep.
And you know, as we emerge into this new technology and a new economy, and as we transition from an old economy, and if you go back 200 years, the old economy was rolling cigars.
Yes, indeed.
And now the new economy is what you see behind me, which I couldn't tell you in
whatever
many years.
it is.
Whatever it is. As long as it doesn't climb out of there and bite me.
Fortunately, we got somebody that knows what it is.
We do indeed, and we're going to be meeting with him in just a minute. He is the CEO of Savtira, which is a digital technology company that has called Ybor City home. He is a new CEO to this community, but somebody who has a lot on his plate. His name is Timothy Robertson. We're excited to see him, and we'll be back in just a few minutes to talk to the mastermind behind all of this. Well, welcome back to the Mayor's Hour, Jack. We're at it once again.
I think so.
Yeah.
And this is pretty exciting. I mean, where we are right now is pretty exciting. It's generated a little bit of news here in the past couple of days.
It has indeed, and this is a great Ybor City and Tampa success story. What's so exciting for me, Jack, and I know for you, because you have been an aficionado of Ybor City for as long as I've known you.
Oh yeah, former alcalde. As a matter of
Alcalde,
fact.
and that's mayor in Spanish, for those of you who don't speak Spanish like me.
And I.
Jack is the only West Virginia alcalde de Ybor City.
The only hillbilly alcalde ever.
Which shows you how diverse Ybor City is.
Yes.
And what we're going to talk about today is not only the diversity of the culture, but also the diversity of the economy.
Yeah.
And what we have seen here in Ybor City is a renaissance, if you will, of new businesses, technology-driven businesses that have established a home here in Ybor City, established a footprint, because not only is the workforce available to them, but there's that cutting-edge flavor to Ybor City that makes it so special.
Oh yeah, and again, as we said earlier, you've just got the great blend, and you talk about a blend of new and old. I mean, it doesn't get any newer than what we're looking at today, and it doesn't get any older in these parts than Ybor City. It's just great.
And I've got to tell you a funny story. The building that we are sitting in right now, and I've told the CEO about this story, was at one time my campaign headquarters.
Really?
Now, it was an unsuccessful campaign, so I am hoping that he does better than I did in that race. But it was also the campaign headquarters for Betty Castor, for Alex Sink. Although the rats that were in the building, I don't think are here right now. You have done a much better renovation of this building, but I'm certain that the bad luck that I had will not be transferred to the building. It is not haunted.
I think they're already off to a much better start than you and Alex had out of this building.
Well, you heard us talk about the company a little bit earlier. I'd like to introduce you to the CEO of this company, Mr. Timothy Roberts. He is an entrepreneur. He is a serial entrepreneur. which for those of you out there who are not technology-driven folks, it is somebody who spends his life creating companies, creating opportunities. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't, but every day he gets up trying to build a company with a new idea, with a new technology. He has done it once again. It's an exciting story for this community. We read about it in the newspaper yesterday about the growth of this company. Tell us about what you do here. Tell us what this is. Explain to Jack and I, and a lot of folks out there who are like Jack and I, what exactly do you do?
So simply put, we're an e-commerce company, and so we provide e-commerce solutions to any company that wants to be able to sell digital or physical goods online or through devices. And basically, there's a real disruption going on in the marketplace worldwide in almost every industry. So there's a convergence happening between broadcast syndicates like NBC and cable companies like Comcast and retailers like Walmart and e-tailers like Amazon and digital providers like iTunes and social networks like Facebook, where all of those technologies or services are rolling into one platform, and that is Savtira. And so if you think of us as the next generation cable company or the next generation NBC, that's what we do. We provide a platform for you to put TV or radio or ebooks, audiobooks, any digital content, video games, business software, and then also combine that with physical goods and social tools. So we enable our distribution partners, for example, a Sports Authority or Newegg or a large distribution platform marketing company that needs new technology to be able to compete, and we can enable them to get to market very quickly.
Well, just to clarify a little bit again, because a couple of Luddites here. Let's say I've got a company, Buckhorn/Harris Enterprises or something like that, and we're selling widgets, and we want to get into the new age, and we come to you. What specifically do you do for the B&H Widget Company here?
So we're a horizontal approach to the market and also vertical. So it's pretty interesting because we have the ability to touch every dollar of revenue. And the horizontal is pretty simple. We have a catalog of digital and physical goods. And so if you already have a platform and you're already an e-tailer and you want to augment your physical goods catalog and add our digital catalog to yours, you can just tie into our catalog and increase your top line revenues by having a broader offering to your audience. We also have a platform. That platform is Web 3.0. It solves the broken shopping cart problem, meaning that the platform was built to sell both physical and digital in one transaction, which is the major problem in the industry today. And then it's cloud-based, which is the most proprietary thing we do. And cloud is really neat because businesses in the past used to buy their software licenses and pre-install them on machines. Today, you have access to an enormous library of tools, and you don't need a $8,000 computer anymore to run them because all the video processing is being done in the cloud. So now, any thin device like a smartphone or a tablet can run the most extensive CAD/CAM program that used to take an $8,000 computer. So what that does for education and for businesses to reduce money and have a broader offering of tool sets for their employees, and for consumers to be able to have the ability to access all of their media, whether it be video games or music or movies, from the cloud, from any device, whether you're in your connected car or you're at a McDonald's at a media table, or you're on your smartphone or computer TV or your computer browser. You can access anything you want, so you're no longer tied or tethered to one specific device, and it's global, so you can go anywhere in the world. So no longer, I don't know if you saw Ford announce last week that there's no more CD players going in cars. There's a reason why CDs, just like 8-track tapes, are a thing of the past.
They're gone, yeah.
You don't need physical media anymore. It's gone, that business model. So it's really disruptive because that impacts a lot of industries that have to quickly shift and change because they were doing in-store merchandising or packaging of physical goods or distribution. And so there's a lot of industries that are scrambling right now trying to figure out. And so what we do is we go to those industries and quickly enable them to have a new digital strategy and business model to compete.
Well, these days I'd be happy if you could get people to just stop hacking my Facebook page.
We can talk about that.
Talk to us about Ybor City. I mean, why Ybor City?
So Ybor, one of the things that being a serial entrepreneur like I've been, I've created thousands of jobs, I've created billions of dollars worth of companies in my past, and much of the internet infrastructure as we know it. And the thing that I really liked about Ybor was, the talent and the diversity of the talent. We have Brazilians, we have people from Puerto Rico, so as a global company, we can get a lot of human capital in. And also, it's fun for them. So this is an eclectic area with a lot of restaurants and movie theaters and nightlife, and it's also within walking distance of downtown and Channelside, and so it's a really great area with low income housing. And our employees make an average income of about $81,000 a year.
Much higher than the average.
We're at 72 employees, so it's a snowball effect to really enhance it. And I look at it as kind of a canvas that we can paint, because you can actually see what we're doing, the impact that it has on the city, just by looking at the economic development. So we're already noticing the difference. I'll sit at a restaurant in Ybor and notice 20 of our employees walking down the street from different places. So it's really fun, and I think Ybor creates that innovation and the creativity, and we're aiming to keep the company very innovative, like a Facebook or a Google, and I think Ybor is the perfect place to do that.
What's your background? Where are you from?
I'm originally from St. Louis. My father was an executive at Anheuser-Busch, and so I have pretty strong roots in St. Louis.
We used to have one of those kind of places up here.
And I had a taste of Tampa when he was involved with building the Busch Gardens here, and so I always had fond memories of Tampa, and I was a little nervous coming here because I didn't really know if the human capital was as abundant as St. Louis, and I've been pleasantly surprised. It seems not only is it's more entrepreneurial and innovative and creative, and everybody in our company is like family, so it's really been a great experience, and couldn't be happier.
You created two other very successful companies, Savvas and Intira, and I'm assuming Savtira is an amalgam of those. Where did those names come from, just out of curiosity?
Savvas stood for savvy, and Intira was just, we were looking for a unique domain name, but I merged the two names because truly I've been kind of saving it in my backlog for the final frontier, and this is it. It's a culmination of my life's work and really the magnum opus that I've been working towards my whole life. So when I started, I really couldn't see that there was an end to the start, but it's a linear. Looking back, I can see all the pieces that I've built have all tied together to, really advance the internet to be able to deliver audio and video, and now, basically build the new operating system for consumers, and where you no longer need to go to Windows. All your tools are in a new platform where you can access your community and all your store to buy physical and digital, and you can start your applications from the cloud. And so it's really exciting times. It's really, I've been waiting for this, and kind of the last indicator that it's truly here is that TV is now moving to the internet. And so, in the next 12 months, you're going to see that, not only with 4G and 3G wireless technology, you have broader access to broadband speeds. With low orbital satellites, now you can reach broadband in area at third world countries that you couldn't reach before. So the market's actually growing, so you can penetrate, much deeper population worldwide. And so it's really just, really exciting for me, because it's the convergence that I've been working towards for 22 years. So.
Well, tell us real quickly, we have about a minute left in this segment. You made an announcement yesterday about future expansion plans. Tell us real quickly what that involves.
So, conservatively, we're, projecting that we'll be at 265 employees in the next 18 months. But the reality is that per our pipeline, it's almost absurd how much opportunity we have in the pipeline right now. And so, we could grow much greater than that to 1,000 to 2,000 employees, which is where the legacy incumbent e-commerce providers are. So, we really see this as not only a major impact for Ybor, but for all of downtown Tampa. And it's like I said, it's a snowball effect because it helps everybody. And you guys have just been phenomenal to work with. And, talking about government support, tax incentives are great, but if you make it to that, it's kind of a golden carrot out there. But, what really is nice is getting the PR and the exposure, because it helps get our message out there and create a lot of business opportunities and bring a lot of new employees into the company. And so it's really helpful, and we appreciate all your support.
Yeah. It's great. And we're really excited about you being here. This is, as we've talked about, this is the next iteration of Ybor City. And if you read Richard Florida and the rise of the creative class and the types of workers that we want to employ, and certainly for the last year and a half, I've talked about how we transitioned from an old economy to a new economy. This is the new economy right here. This is it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
these are the kinds of jobs that my kids will come home to someday. And kids and your son will come and find an opportunity here that warrants the education that we've given them. And so I'm really excited about this, Tim. This is a great day for Tampa. We're going to come back in just a little bit with Jason Woody, who's the CEO of the Lion's Eye Institute. They are doing some amazing transplant technology here also in Ybor City. Joining this great company is one of our emerging technology centers. We're excited about it, Jack, and we'll be right back.
We're a specialty pharmacy, and what designates us as a specialty pharmacy is we have a focus on different disease states. We'll work with mostly, we have HIV patients, we have oncology patients, people from Moffitt and Florida Cancer Center. We have transplant. We work with Tampa General Hospital and their solid organ transplant program. We have a lot of hepatitis patients too that we kind of monitor. It's kind of a new area of pharmacy that we just kind of specialize in chronic diseases. We also specialize in people who have problems paying for their medications. We work with a lot of foundations to get them assistance to pay, because these medications are not cheap. We go through a certification program to get specialized in like national exam. We have with the HIV community, we have a specialty exam that we took to be, they call us HIV experts, but it's just an exam that you take to qualify nationally to like a credential. It's like a credentialing exam. And also with hepatitis, and we've also studied a lot of specialty. We have a pretty good staffing model that we have 2 pharmacists here full time. I have 2 technicians, 2 certified technicians, and of course because we're in Ybor City, we have to provide for our Spanish-speaking population. Brenda does all of our insurance billing and verification, which is in healthcare is a real big deal these days. I'm a preceptor with the University of Florida, and offering just they call it a clerkship, and just kind of a focus every month. The students come in that are a PharmD program through the University of Florida campus pharmacy schools, and they work either with the HIV community or the transplant community. We used to be on Henderson and Swan in South Tampa for about 8 years, and then in November they were renovating this awesome building in Ybor City, and we were invited to be the pharmacy for in this area. We work a lot with Metro Wellness Center, which is upstairs. We have a lot of their clients, and we work closely with them. And they're also going to be opening a children's clinic. USF is going to have a children's clinic right down the street. So it was kind of a good relationship to have. We love this building, and it gives us an opportunity to train patients to do a lot of self-injectables. That's become a very popular way to dispense the medications for some people that are chronically ill. People who have MS, they do an injection once a week, or hepatitis, and we train them on how to do the injections themselves. We all enjoy what we do, or we wouldn't be here. You know, I've been with BioScript for going on, it'll almost be 8 years. and I love it.
Innovaro is an innovation solutions company. We help other companies innovate and grow, and we do that in one of three ways. For companies that really don't have and don't know how to innovate, they don't know how to cook, as an example, we help them learn how to cook. We help them figure out what the innovation process looks like to make it a fundamental part of their culture. Second thing we do is for companies that have a knowledge of innovation but really want to get better at it, want to be better, cheaper, faster, we have software product that we brought to the marketplace called Launchpad, which helps them do that in a more efficient mode. So if you know how to cook but don't have appliances, we've got appliances, right? And last but not least, we have information services, technology services, that if you know how to cook and you've got appliances but you need ingredients like, what's the market look like today? What kind of IP is out there? Do I need partners? We can help you get that information and find those partners. We really look at servicing organizations that are trying to bring their new ideas to marketplace, that are trying to figure out where am I going to get that big new idea, whether it's a whole new set of products for new customers or whether it's just an extension to existing. Chicago really is kind of the headquarters for our Strategos division, but they're scattered all over. They're across all the continents with the clients they work with. And what Strategos does is they're really our professional services group. Our technology group is based really here in Tampa, the people that are developing the new software product. Now, the genesis of the idea came out of Strategos. They built a set of tools that they used for their own purposes over the number of years. What we've really done is taken those and gone to the next generation of those, next set of capabilities that can be used with a slightly lighter footprint to allow people to accelerate how they do things. Our pharma licensing, and technology transfer group is really headquartered out of our group in York. It was originally founded here in the area by one of the professors on one of the local universities. And it started to grow here, and it originally grew primarily as a technology transfer group. It was finding partners, right, and bringing those together. But what's happened is as the company has grown and acquired other companies, it's really kept its focus here. I came here from Silicon Valley. I lived out in San Francisco Bay Area, worked in Silicon Valley for 2 decades. And I liked the Tampa area and came here because I saw the what I call the business climate here is very conducive. It's conducive to starting businesses. It's conducive to running businesses. It's easy to do business. The other one I saw is there's a lot of commitment to businesses trying to give back to the community in that.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Hour with my friend Jack Harris and another one of Ybor City's entrepreneurs that is really doing some cutting-edge technology. This time on the health side of the equation. Joining me today is Jason Woody, the CEO of the Lion's Eye Institute of Transplant and Research. Jason, you are in a historic building here, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing, because as I read about this and learned about this, this is really cutting-edge stuff that is having a great impact on some lives of folks all over the country.
Well, we're actually in our program here in Ybor City is we're setting the new standard for ocular innovations that's going to assist people that are blind or visually impaired through our research program. We actually act as the conduit that provides, if you have an organ donor on your driver's license, we go out and do the recovery of that tissue, bring it back here, use it for transplant and for research opportunities.
And when you're talking about the research, again, you have that going for you, but how far along are we in that you're still doing research? I mean, you can transplant now, I know that because I've known patients who have been beneficiaries of your all's incredible work. But what are you looking to do next, or at what point are you in the research and development of that?
Well, it's interesting that new drugs that come out now take almost 13 years to come out. People don't realize that. And actually out of 10,000 drugs actually make it to market to something that you and I would actually use. And the cost to develop a drug is running roughly about $1.2 billion now. So what we're actually doing is moving away from the model that roughly 50% of compounds that are designed for animal use, for research, don't work in humans. So we're actually moving research much faster by doing studies that replicate a disease that would affect someone like you or I.
Wow. Ybor City, we are in the home of an old cigar factory. And we talked a little bit earlier, Jack, about how Ybor is transitioning from the old economy, which if you go back far enough was the cigar making industry, which sort of put Ybor City on the map, to the types of companies that are growing in Ybor City now. This is an amazing building, and the restoration of this building is truly something to be seen. Why Ybor City? What is it about Ybor City that makes it attractive to you? Are you finding the types of employees that you need to do this high-tech type of work?
Well, Ybor City, we were located in the West Shore Business District, and at that time we really found that we weren't, let's say, client-friendly. People that needed assistance for visual, impairments and things like that, getting glasses, coming to us, walking right up to our front door, and that's really what Ybor City has always been about. Is helping one another with the different, be it the pharmacies, obviously with the employers, with the hospitals, community, and that's what we really want to focus on here. That people could walk right up to our front door as you did and come into our facility. Other thing is Ybor City has probably the best proximity in Tampa. We cover 61 of the 67 counties, and our corporate office is right here. I-4, the Solomon Expressway, 275, 75, any place that we need to go, everything's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Now, do you have a lot of people who actually come here, and I mean, they just come and say, I've got a problem, and I guess you all examine them and try to determine what the problem is and go beyond it from there?
Well, sometimes people will just come in that they need glasses or they need a surgery, and then we'll find the local Lions Club that's in that area that will provide the service, and then we provide the cornea. We've always provided the cornea gratis. Since our day one, our inception in 1973, we've never turned down anyone for the ability to pay. On average, we donate $1 million in tissue to people on a yearly basis, domestically and internationally, so they can enjoy the gift of sight.
Well, that's important because I think your relationship to the Lions Club and that history is, you're not a for-profit business necessarily. You're associated with a service club, if you will. Right. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Lions Club and how it transitioned to what you're doing right now.
It's hard to believe that the Lions site, their focus on site-related project, came from Helen Keller. So Helen Keller actually showed up at one of their national meetings. Early Lions were just like you and I, the three of us, that we were business people. They really didn't have a purpose. Helen Keller showed up at the meeting, in the 1920s and asked them to focus to be the Knights of the Blind, the Crusaders against darkness. And the Lions accepted it. So you imagine as growing up, you've seen White Cane Days, the Lions, everyone has associated with Lions. All of that started from one individual that was born blind and deaf, Helen Keller.
I was not aware of that, with the background of that. And tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from, and how did you get into this?
Actually, fourth generation from Tampa.
Nope.
As far as here, yes, Floridian. Love it, as far as, and my kids will be, obviously the fifth, coming on both of my daughters. And as far as really, I, went into, I wasn't sure where I wanted to, what I wanted to do, and had an internship at Tampa General Hospital. And during one of my internships, I was in a transplant, and it was where a young man was donating his kidney to save his mother's life. In pre-surgery, I was able to meet both individuals. And and seeing them that he said, "Mom, I want to save your life." She said, "But if you come down with the same disease, it could cost me my life." And just seeing that we're able to take something that someone is not going to be able to use and have the ability to save someone else's life actually got me involved in the transplant side.
Yeah, the donor program is fantastic, and you just can't emphasize enough, please, everybody, please get into the donor program because it doesn't cost you anything. Mm-hmm. It doesn't cost you anything, and yet you can save lives or you can help lives even after you're gone. And it's such an important one, and people forget about it, unfortunately.
Tell us about the Ocular Research Center here. What types of jobs, what types of technicians? Are there doctors here? I mean, tell us exactly what takes place in this great old building.
Well, what actually is here, as far as we have a transplant side and a research side. We're in the brand new research side, and that's opened up 2 years ago. We have 12,000 square feet. We only occupy 4, so we have 8,000 square feet that's available right now that we would actually be able to expand. And really, we start the clinical studies here. We've worked with programs like Emory. We've worked USC. We've worked with Harvard. We've worked with Duke University, Johns Hopkins. And so we'll start the project here. Many of those programs, what's unique about our system, our facility, is we have a research center inside of an eye bank. All of these different facilities around the world need eye tissue, so they would have to get it from us. So what we've done is we've actually invited them here. We actually have sleep suites in the building where we are able to house the researchers. As you know, researchers like to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they would be able to work around the clock on tissue that exactly replicates disease that would be going on with your eye.
Well, at what point are we in fighting blindness, in fighting macular degeneration, things like that. Where do we stand now as far as sight is concerned?
We're making progress. Unfortunately, our population is getting older. And so we're seeing it more, obviously more people, just even cataract surgery, things of that nature. Roughly there's about 10 million people that are blind or visually impaired in the United States. Roughly the numbers show, the statistics, by 2020, 43 million Americans will suffer some type of eye disease. That could be glaucoma, which you probably know someone has age-related macular degeneration. You hear about that all the time. And of course, one that's running rampant in the country is diabetes. And of course, diabetes, one of the first things, unfortunately, that it affects is your vision.
Their vision problems go beyond that. So you all are even involved in that through diabetic programs.
Well, what's interesting about this, we're actually able to talk to families or individuals that have made the decision to donate. So we're bringing tissue back to our facility here that actually has the disease process. So you can imagine as a researcher, here you would use a tissue that has no disease. Well, how would you find a drug for something? Here, instead, we're able to bring back something they're actually able to test, and we're able to get patient history. So what if I could tell the researcher, here's the drops this patient's been on for the last 15 years for glaucoma. And they were able to trace that back and say, what differences can we make through this type of research?
It's almost like the personalized cancer care that they're doing out at Moffitt.
Very, very similar. Yeah, very similar.
How do people know about this? I mean, I hate to sound stupid, but I've heard of what you all are doing, had no idea it was right here. How do people learn about it? How are people being informed that there is help here for individuals who are out there, not just for Harvard and Johns Hopkins and all of these other places?
Well, a lot of it has been word of mouth. We work with major pharmaceutical companies, Alcon, Bausch and Lomb, obviously Novartis, large companies as well. But a lot of as far as come from that from the university basis. Working with the University of Florida, working with the University of Miami. There's not as far as with USF, we have a great relationship with them, but really a strong ophthalmology research department isn't something that they focus on. But we're always looking for partnerships. Yeah.
You guys have a big event, I know, every year. I've read about it. I know that you know the one. I love the name, the Eyeball Gala. Tell us about that.
Well, it'll be this year. It'll be October 15th. And it's grown every single year. And I don't know if you've seen in a Tampa Bay Business Journal, but we were nominated in 2 different spots for the event of the year. So we're in 2 different locations there. And so this year will be October 15th. We used to have the event here. And then we moved the event last year. We thought it would be a great time to bring everybody into the Tampa Museum. So we outgrew it there. And this year we've moved it to Raymond James Stadium. Now, I do not think we're going to outgrow that event, but this year it'll be October 15th.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead, because
Well, most of your funding comes from where? Does it come from that event, or do the Lions contribute a significant portion of it?
The Lions contribute a portion. Also, we're able to charge a processing fee. It's against the law to buy or sell human tissue, but for all the HIV testing, anything that has to, as you see on procurement, we're able to charge a fee for that. In the nonprofit, it's unfortunate. Probably revenue is what's slowing us down. We don't have stakeholders or venture capitalists to say where people are infusing millions of dollars into our program. If that was to happen, we're able to create more jobs. As I mentioned, we have 12,000 square feet. We're only occupying 4,000. So we could easily, with obviously infusions of more revenue, our donations, we could increase our staffing by 20-30% and do the work much faster.
Yeah. How many people do you have here?
60 full-time people.
60 full-time. Okay. And these people are what, doctors or research people?
Research, we have a research, all PhD research advisory board. We have technicians, we have nurses, medical students, things of that nature. Most all come from a medical background. And then also we have a special counseling session group that all they do is talk to their families about donation. So obviously when we have to reach out to the loved ones, at the middle of the night or during the day, they'll be able to talk to them about their options that they'll be able to be given to become a donor.
Well, you make me proud to be an organ donor. Now I see firsthand exactly what it is that little indication on your driver's license could mean to somebody who's potentially their sight you could be saving.
That's right.
Down the road.
So certainly is.
All of you who are not organ donors out there, please become an organ donor. Jason, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you. This is another exciting Ybor City success story. Not only is it growing the economy and creating the types of jobs that we're interested in, but more importantly, it's serving a great public good. And so to all of the Lions that are out there that are watching, thank you for what you've done for all these years. And to the Lions Eye Institute, Jason, thank you for your leadership and for what you do every day. We're going to go for a short break. There'll be a video of some other companies here in Ybor City, and then we're going to be sitting down with an Ybor City legend, Mr. Patrick Manteiga, who is the owner and publisher of La Gaceta newspaper, which is the country's only trilingual newspaper.
3 languages.
English, Spanish, and Italian, none of which Jack and I speak. But we're going to be at the Cuban Club with Senor Patrick Manteiga, and we're going to learn about the culture of Ybor City and the history of Ybor City and what Ybor City has become. So we're excited, so stay with us.
Tricycle Studios is a strategic marketing communications firm, and we specialize in the science and healthcare field, primarily catering to biotech, medical device and diagnostic, pharma, and biotechnology firms. We work through the full life cycle of marketing communications, from sales, training, learning, development, surgeon and physician education, as well as those direct tools that sales reps use when they're communicating with surgeons, doctors, hospitals, and other buyers in the medical field. And right now, the hottest thing that we're doing is our mobile-based sales tools, like on the iPad and iPhone. We have a very diverse staff. They're very diverse in culturally, they're diverse in educational background, they're diverse in age. We have employees from 21 years to 71. But the one thing they have in common is an intense curiosity for the work that we do. That we're technology folks. We're the folks that grew up in the video game era, even myself and in my vintage. And we embrace technology because we understand it, and we use that to solve problems. So everyone here has to be curious and creative. They have to be technology oriented, and they have to really care about the kind of work that we do, which in the end is it helps people be better, helps companies make products, create devices, and educate surgeons and doctors on how to use them. We are a collaborative group. We've taken offices that were made for single executives and put 2, 3 in an office. We just love the historic ambiance of this environment. People love to come to work. They like to come to be in this space. It's a fun place to be. We like to have lunch out on the balcony and watch the world go by on 7th Avenue. You know, we had high expectations for our move to Ybor City, and it's been better than we could have imagined. It truly is a community environment. This is a thriving urban type environment, and it's fun to see colleagues in creative and synergistic businesses at lunch or out on the street. You can just get a sense that this area is definitely taking off. We're very blessed that we are in a very strong niche in the science and healthcare field, and our business is fortunately growing. So we'll probably be opening up other offices in other cities, but this is our home. This is where we plan to continue to grow.
We're a creative partner. We're a visual communications company that works with our clients or anyone in order to help them do what they do better as far as advertising and marketing and creative and media of any sort, from web to television to broadcast television commercials and all that kind of stuff. Tampa Digital has been around for approximately 15 years now, and we came from our original studio on Swan and Howard in sort of the South Tampa area, and through the boom of construction got nudged that they were going to be selling the building that we were occupying. So we shot out and started looking for places to build a new shop, and turned out that we could move anywhere we wanted to, and we ended up bumping into Tom Keating from the Chamber, from the Ybor City Chamber, and he started bringing us around Ybor City, and through the fine folks at Wilco, we ended up developing a relationship that about 4 years ago brought us right to Central Ybor, into what was retail space. We were standing in this area right here, used to be American Eagle Outfitters. We fell in love with the place. I mean, I don't know if we'd want to be anywhere else. We all loved grab a little happy hour after work or go get something to eat with the guys or whatever it is, and have little creative meetings at lunch. And the Ybor City community embraces that. The Ybor City community has a creative vibe to it that allows us to have a creative meeting right outside here in Central Ybor, or while we're walking down the street, the architecture and the people, and it's just a great creative community. And I think it's hustle and bustle. I think it's growing. I think it's really exceeding the expectations we had when we moved here, you know, which is pretty cool. Our strength is for all the clients that we do work for, whether they're a local, international, or regional client, our expertise is developing that creative solution. Technology alone is not really the answer. Technology execution for what our clients' needs are, that's where we actually are consider our strongest. Because as a creative company, when we start putting together these concepts with technology and traditional media, we find that we become we build a lot of successful relationships that last a long time. A lot of our clients have been with us for 10 years and longer than that. At the end of the day, when I get home, developing this thing, this from intangible, from nothing, like, there's, when we walked in this morning, we really had nothing, and at the end of the day, we put together a pitch and talked to a client, and the client embraces it, and then in 2 weeks, we find out that it actually was very successful and it worked for the client. That's a great cycle of, being of service, helping people do what they do and helping them do it better.
We're about a 10,000 square foot facility, and we have 7 edit suites. We have a graphics department where we do 3D graphics and animation. We also do web design, web programming. We also have a audio post-production facility, so we can do audio mixing, radio spots. And we have a small insert studio, and we have a staff of about 30 employees. What I like about my job is that when I come in every morning, we work with new clients and we're doing something new every day. And we're not doing the same thing over and over again. And what my gratification is being able to work on these jobs and seeing the client, from start to finish, and making sure the job is completed and seeing how excited they are once the job is completed. One of the things that we strive on is just keeping up with the new technology of what's going on. And one of our existing clients that we work with, we just finished doing a 3D video production for. It was the Incredible Dog Challenge. And one of the challenges was being able to come up with an idea of something unique and new. And so what we did is, on this last production shoot we did, we brought some 3D cameras with our partner Panasonic, and we created a little video to put up onto YouTube. What we were able to do is to create these 3D glasses. What you can do from a mobile platform is tag read it, and it takes you directly to the video. You can put these glasses on and actually watch the video in 3D. It's a creative company. Everybody that works here is creative, and everybody has different ideas. They bring them to the table, and everybody's passionate about what they're doing.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Hour. Jack, we've gone from the new economy to what built Ybor City to what it is today. We are here at the Círculo Cubano,
Yes.
which is the Cuban Club, and this is one of the mutual aid buildings, mutual aid societies, that back in the day when the immigrants were coming to America and coming to Ybor City, this was the place that they found refuge, was in the mutual aid societies where they could be amongst fellow Cubans, or in the case of the Italian Club, fellow Italians, or Mati Maceo, the Afro-Cubans. It's an exciting part of, and a unique part of Tampa and Ybor City's history.
Thank the Lord we preserved it, and are going to preserve it even better in the future.
Well, we're excited to have with us today an icon in and of himself. His family has a long, long history of Ybor City and the chronicling of Ybor City. Patrick Manteiga, who is the editor and publisher and owner of La Gaceta, which is a trilingual newspaper. Patrick has not only written about Ybor City, but also been a part of shaping its certainly most recent history. His family has been a dear friend to you and I, Jack, and it has passed to the third generation now of Manteigas. And it's an exciting transition for this community. And Patrick, we're glad you're here.
Glad you came to Ybor City and doing the Mayor's Hour here. It's great.
Well, it's, Tampa and Ybor are so intertwined, and there's such a connection here. And Ybor City is such a valuable asset to us, both economically and culturally, that we could not be here, Jack.
Oh, absolutely. And whenever I talk to people about Ybor City who are new around here, when you speak to people out here who just for some reason have never come here, they think it's a big Saturday, Friday night hangout or something. But you point out what's really unique in all America, I think, is that you had the Spanish, the Cubans, the Germans, the Italians, the blacks, all in this one big, huge neighborhood together, unlike other cities where you have an Italian section and a Spanish section and a Cuban section or whatever. They're all blended here, and it's a fantastic history and culture that this area is unique for.
Well, and you know something, we pale in comparison to him. I may be the alcalde of Tampa, but he
was the alcalde of Ybor.
He was the alcalde of Ybor City, so he's got, this is his show. I'm going to let him run with this one. So tell us about the Cuban Club, Patrick.
Well, the Cuban Club is one of the mutual aid societies. When the workers first came to Tampa, the cigar industry was here, but there wasn't much here. There was, you came out of Havana, you come up to Tampa, you left a metropolitan area, a place that had great arts and music and food, and you came here, and this was the deep south, and there was dirt roads, and there was alligators and mosquitoes, and there wasn't a lot of friendliness outside of Ybor City. You were immigrants into the deep south, and there was language barriers and things like that. So the cigar factory owners quickly found out that they weren't going to hang on to their workforce without providing them something other than work. So the clubs were built and provided the rest of what you were going to do after work. They provided you the places to dance, the places to play dominoes, to have your coffee, to eat. It was cradle to grave service. The clubs provided you for one small dollar amount a week. You got a place, you got free health care, and you got the right to be buried in a cemetery, a decent burial ground, and you got the right to use this great building.
And they are preserving it now as Hillsborough Commission, and you guys were very successful in getting them to do this, which is great, I think, for the future of these clubs, because they are such an integral part of the past and such a great way to present Ybor City to people. You know, looking ahead to the future of what's happening here, and you've been very instrumental in pushing for these flights to Cuba, and I know you have, everybody has, in trying to get contact with Cuba, and of course it's a big political issue in Washington, D.C. right now, but I've been talking about so long, if we ever do normalize relations with Cuba, and we will, once we do, I should say, it's going to be such a big, big bonus for the Tampa Bay area and for Ybor City, because people are going to want to explore Cuba. Those who don't can explore Ybor City. But those who do go here to catch the ships going to Ybor City, the cruise ships, because it's cheaper to go from here to Havana than it is from Miami to Havana, because the straits are very expensive to navigate for these cruise ships. And it's going to be a bonanza for us, and I just so look forward to that happening.
The other thing that's interesting, especially with the relationship with Cuba, is you couldn't write the history of Cuba over the last 100 years without mentioning Tampa and without mentioning Ybor City. Jose Marti traveled here. It was a place for Cuban revolutions to build up steam, to have protection, to raise money, to get political support. And then you went back to Cuba and you tried to change society there. So the history classes in Cuba and those schools, when you flip through the book, you'll see pictures of Tampa. You'll see pictures of Ybor City. They'll talk about our community. And I think a lot of people don't realize, because of the embargo over the past few years, really how close our two communities were.
Well, it's interesting. Right on the steps out here, Jose Marti made a speech when he came to Tampa many years ago at the beginning of the effort for Cuban independence. I mean, there is such a history, not only of the Cubans in Tampa, but of this building itself. What does the future look like for these buildings, whether it's the Cuban Club or the Italian Club or Centro or Monte Maceo?
Well, they're all event center at the moment. So you can come in, have your wedding here, have your event here. We're excited about the Republican National Convention. We would like to get some events from that. We continue to raise money through that, but we're going to have to come up with some more permanent funding for projects. These are not one-time fixes. You fix old wooden windows, and then 20 years from now, they need to be fixed again. There are little finishing details that have to be done. You know, when your tile goes bad here, you don't want to change it out. You actually will need to reproduce it. Yeah. So this becomes very expensive and very difficult. And what we need to do is we need to come up with some programs that are sustainable to help historic preservation here. We need to continue to develop these as event centers, and we need to also get a public that's more interested in it. We'd like to create some sustainable historic tourism here also, tourism that creates bed nights. Instead of now people just walking the streets of Ybor City and looking at a building, I'd much rather be able to have them come in here to walk through it, for somebody to tell them about the history. After you go to this building, you then go to maybe Arturo Fuente. You go through and they talk to you about the cigars and how they're rolled, and then you go to one of the bakeries and they show you how to do the Cuban bread, and you go down to the coffee mill and they show you how they roast the beans, and you have this cultural, historic tourism. And if we can create enough venues and we create enough interest here, then we can try and drive some bed and breakfast in the areas and really try to create a historic tourism that St. Augustine, that Savannah, that Charleston has, that we don't have. I think we need to reprogram some of our money and some of our ideas to not just use sports as tourism and the convention center as tourism, but to try and create a whole new tourist venue.
And I think it'll help once Cuba opens, and I think there's going to be a wave of interest in Cuba. When that happens, I think Cuban cooking is going to be hot. Sure. I like to see it called Ybor cooking, frankly, but I think it's going to be red hot. I've been pushing, Chris Sullivan and Bob Basham and said, why don't you guys create a Cuban concept restaurant, put it all over the country. You can start, and you had a great idea. We don't have anything Cuban out at the airport right now, and that's going to happen soon. I think Joe Lopano is going to do that, but I just think it's going to be huge. And like you say, it's kind of like the coal mines. People in West Virginia, unless they're miners, have never been in a coal mine because you couldn't go in them.
Right.
And we've got all these cigar factories, and yet nobody knows how they roll cigars or what happened in there or anything that's being done in there unless you worked in it.
And these buildings, unlike others, we preserve the insides here. So they tell a story. I can walk you through the building tonight. We can go to the ballroom. I can tell you about the grandmother sitting on the edge of the room there, watching very carefully as their daughters dance and their granddaughters dance, and making sure the hands of the young men stayed in the right places. How over here there was a library, and then they gave English classes to the newer immigrants who came in. We had community theater over here. The bottom floor was a gymnasium, and we had a running track, an indoor basketball court, and we had a 10 by 10 foot pool, cold water pool called the Splash that you swam in afterwards. We had 3 bowling lanes here. So it really kind of tells the story of how these buildings fit into people's lives. And just preserving the shells of these isn't enough. You really need to be able to walk in and to see the space and to tell the stories. And if you listen hard enough, you can hear the old men playing dominoes. You can hear the.
You can smell the cigar smoke, Patrick.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, as somebody who has chronicled and whose family has chronicled the trials and tribulations of Ybor City, tell me, we've got about a minute left. Tell me where you think Ybor is going over the next decade. What's the next life of Ybor?
I think that Ybor needs to continue to diversify. You've visited some high tech today, and while we want offices, we don't want all offices. We don't want to become what downtown was a few years ago, where it was just dead on the weekends. We also don't want to be a place that only opens at 3 in the morning. So the challenge of Ybor City is to try and create a business community here, a community to live in, one to party in, and one that invites tourism to flourish here. And it's a constant struggle balancing all those things. I do see it happening, though. This is what makes our community unique. Without Ybor City, without the West Tampas, Tampa's just another sleepy southern city. We're the spice. And I think that there's appreciation of it. And so long as there's appreciation of it and a will, there's a way to keep it alive.
Well, you know something, Jack, and he's exactly right. When people look at Ybor City and when they look at Tampa, our diversity is our strength. That's what sets us apart from almost every other community. I mean, we're black, we're white, we're Hispanic, we're gay, we're straight, we're Italian, we're Cuban, we're Irish, we're Jewish. I mean, it is a paella.
Sure.
It is a
That's
true
a good
paella.
way to put it. Great, you got great metaphors. Huh?
Well, you know, and if you laid out the ingredients of a paella, you would never think it would all work together.
Right.
But once you put those ingredients in that mix and you stir it up and you add a little heat to it, this becomes a very, very special place. And I'll tell you what, Patrick, it helps us compete economically.
Right.
Because when folks look to relocate here, they want to know that this workforce here looks like the workforce that they came from, in all of its shades and hues and preferences and whatever. That's what makes Ybor City so cool, and that's what why we're so happy to be here to talk about Ybor City. Thank you for joining us. I know you got a paper to publish, and we'll be back next week with the next version of the Mayor's Hour. Jack, as always, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, especially being down here in Ybor. I love this.
It's, you know, once the alcalde, always the alcalde. And so I bow down before the alcalde de Ybor City. But it's great to be here in Ybor City. We love Ybor City. It's a big part of who we are. Patrick, thank you for what you and your family have done. Jack, thanks for another great show. And we'll see you next month on the Mayor's Hour. Take care.